Hey, Dave, welcome to the show. Where you getting
Hey, Brian.
started? Give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm a huge fan. Love the stuff that you post online and get a lot of value out of it. Yeah, just a little background on me. Yeah, I started off my sales career kind of haphazardly, working for like a lot of people probably find themselves, kind of
Yeah.
stumbling into their sales career, working for an investment brokerage in Seattle called ShareBuilder. And ShareBuilder was eventually bought by ING Direct, I think back in 2007. But at the time, when I first joined, I was doing really like I was an advertising buyer. So we would go out. It was a business to consumer model, right? Where we would go out and get people to open online investment brokerage accounts and trade stocks. And I was working there, and we were doing that, and we decided that we wanted to diversify revenue, and so we opened up a business to business function of our company, selling retirement plans, 401k plans to businesses. And I guess the way I got started in sales is I wanted to do whatever I could to be a part of the new project. It seemed
Yeah.
like there was a lot of energy in it. It seemed like the next logical step for the business, and I guess I really just saw it as a chance to be an entrepreneur and get involved in something early stages and leave my mark on it. And so kind of out of the gates, I guess my biggest contribution would be it wasn't marketing, it wasn't developing software or whatever, but would be just to go out and introduce the product to people and see if we could find people that it was a good fit for. And so I found myself calling on leads that we generated, and really we cold called a lot of people to see if we can find people that that was a need for their business. They didn't have something. I think at the time, 95% of small, medium-sized businesses in the United States didn't have any retirement plan
Really?
for for their employees.
Employees, yeah.
Yeah,
For
so
themselves, they do.
the owners probably did. Yeah, so huge opportunity, um, huge area of focus for the business, and I just felt, and I think that the leadership felt there that I could make a big impact on selling, and if I didn't, it was the easy way to show me the exit, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a sink or swim scenario for me.
And is that where you kind of found your place in sales? Did you feel at home there?
I did. I think it's where I learned what my passions were. And so it was funny the way that I kind of learned the whole way to look at sales differently, I guess, in more of an analytical lens is our CEO one day came, we were in an upstairs loft area, kind of away from the rest of the company. And he came up and he said, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Oh, it's going really well. I got some great opportunities." And he asked me the most simple question. He goes, "Oh, I think we had three different types of 401k plans, depending on the size of your business that you could buy." He said, "Well, what's your product mix looks like of these opportunities?" And it was so embarrassing. I had no idea, right? It was just kind of one of these like, well, I'll have to go take a look and get back to you. But I guess one of the things that I learned from Jeff Seeley was his name. Um, One of the things I learned from his line of questioning is it was not ever like antagonistic, or he never made any claims I didn't know my business. He just knew how to ask the right questions to make me think, God, I really don't know this as well as I should. And so I built a really kind of a dashboard for myself, kind of off of the line of his questioning. So every time I made a call, I would, recorded in there, how long I was on the call. I would record that. I would record how many opportunities I got out of it, what my product mix looked like. And later, after we started winning some business, I started keeping track of the accounts that we landed and how much assets these guys had in their 401k plan, and what that meant for our business as far as like our fee that we're charging was like a assets under management fee. And I think probably the big lesson there was I could see directly what kind of impact I was having on our business from a very tangible dollar amount. And so I think for all the salespeople out there listening, I think one of the lessons that I'd love for people to kind of take away from that is use analytics and keep track of what you do so that you can have a clear idea of what kind of impact you're having on the business. Not only is it going to help you internally, but if you find at some point, it's time for you to look for your next big move, it really helps you tell the story at the next place you go. Like you can say, I made this many calls, I won this many deals, it had this type of impact on the business. And I think, what people are looking for is someone that knows what kind of impact they're having on the business and can eloquently tell that story. So
And that mindset is great, because that's one of the consistent patterns I've seen with great sales rep is they have a process. And the only way to develop a process is, find out what does work,
yeah,
document it, and don't play Groundhog Day. But
yeah,
you step in the puddle the same time every day.
yeah. I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing every day and expecting different results.
Well,
or
we're circadian creatures, and that's our nature. It's
yeah,
unnatural for us to take it and put it down on paper and think about it.
yeah, exactly.
And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And realistically, if you want to scale an organization, and so I'd mentioned kind of the entrepreneurial building something new was appealing to me at ShareBuilder. And so if we want to scale the business, we need to understand like where we can have repeatable success, not just for myself, but for everybody else on the
Yeah.
team. Is there a certain sector that we're selling into where we're having a lot of traction? Is there a certain type of plan that we're having a lot of traction with? That really helps us hone our marketing strategy and where we're going to go from there. So you got to think of it as kind of like you're the CEO of your own territory, your own business, and you're going to use that information to help the business be more successful in whole.
Right. And not just get on the treadmill and run as fast as you can.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not getting anywhere. Well, right. Find out who is most likely to be interested.
Yeah.
And really dissect that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of weird that you've done a bunch of different sectors.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've bounced around a little bit in my sales career. And I think that, so, before you can probably see the background here of Big Ben and the fall tree here, but this podcast finds me in London, England, which is where I'm at today. I mean, you can tell from my accent, I'm not originally British, but yeah, I took my B2B sales experience that I got there at ShareBuilder and eventually wound up at Tableau Software.
Yeah.
And so you may know Tableau Software, or the
Very hot
listeners may know
company.
Tableau Software. Huge acquisition by Salesforce, is like $15.9 billion or something last year. But, once again, I got really lucky. I started at Tableau when we were about 300 employees, and I was in Seattle. And then, similar type story, we, helping the business expand and grow. It's like something I've always been passionate about. And there was a huge opportunity to do that in EMEA. And so I kind of put my hand up, and we had a very small team in EMEA at the time. There's hundreds of people today. And I took a one-way flight over here, left my friends, my family community back in Seattle, and took a bit of a chance, right? Like, I'm going to insert myself into an environment that I only know a little bit about. The culture is very different in these different regions of the European theater, right? And, realistically, the charge was come over here and help us expand our European headquarters that were kind of plopping down in London. And so I did that from 2013 to 2016 with Tableau Software before I went back to the US at the end of that. So yeah, there's I kind of built on my business to business experience and, getting back to that analytical mindset that I think every sales rep in 2020 should probably have is, just being on top of your business and understanding that really helped me land that role at Tableau, and then helped me kind of make the case I'm the type of guy that could come over here and help us do the expansion as we expanded into MIA, because I did have that analytical mindset. So that skill I built in my very first sales job, right, seems to have helped me really kind of spread my wings and now find myself over here.
Well, you seem to have a good mix because you've got an MBA. Right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Which kind of plays into the analytics and the cerebral side of
Yeah.
sales, as opposed to just the grinding personality, hunter-killer type.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm glad that you noticed that. I had a lot of people tell me early on, or at least after I got my MBA and I was in sales, they said, hey, look, an MBA is not going to help you in sales. I mean, sales is not like this analytical type thing. But I guess one of the things that I learned is I went back later for my MBA. I think I was like 32 or something. And sometimes people do it earlier. But when I went back, I was really, academically curious, right? I wanted to learn more about those things that you don't really care about when you're, 20 years old or whatever, right? And so I actually did get a chance to go back and I was, intellectually curious. And I think that, what I got out of that and how I think an MBA can actually help you in sales is it gives you a little bit more context on a lot of different topics. So if I'm speaking to a CFO or I'm speaking to a CMO, hey, I'm not an expert, right, on those topics like they are in their discipline, but it does give me enough information, background, what they know, what their desires are, and what they want to talk about, enough to be, semi-credible in some instances with those different stakeholders, right? So I think, I did get that. And then the second thing I think any salesperson that has an MBA can get is I have a fantastic network of all these people that were going to business school. We all kind of left State College, Pennsylvania. I went to Penn State to get my MBA, and we're all in different places. But we got people working for all sorts of organizations that can help me get in the door at those organizations, and they're more than willing to do so. So I think just the network of connections that you make and the exposure you get to all these different topics that you didn't get at undergrad has just been a great combination for me personally.
Now, did you take the year and a half, 2 years off and do it full time?
I did, yeah. I actually moved from Seattle all the way to Pennsylvania to go do it. So yeah,
What a beautiful town, huh?
It's a great town. Yeah. I mean, huge football culture. You got the Saturdays.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's true. It's literally like you're either going to the game or you're going to be at your house because there's not going to be anybody else around, so.
Yeah.
Different times we find ourselves in now, though, huh?
Definitely. Now, what was the motive there? Because that's really rare. I see a lot of people doing it at night or part-time in their early 20s, mid-20s, but to take a couple of years off mid-career.
Yeah, no, I know it was kind of strange a little bit in that essence, but one of the things I noticed when I was at ShareBuilder, my first sales job, I kind of went from there off to get my MBA, was that a lot of the people inside that organization did have an MBA that were running the business in some really good schools as well, kind of on their resume. And I thought, if I ever want to do anything else besides sales, it probably is not going to hurt me to have that level of credential as well. Yeah. It can only open doors. And so it was a difficult time because, I was leaving like a 6-figure job when I left to go, make no money and potentially take on some student loan debt. Right. But I guess I just looked at it as like a bigger investment for my career, right, as a whole, and not just, will this pay me back in the next 1 or 2 years? It's, are these things I'm going to pick up at business school going to help me throughout the life of my career? And I think the answer so far, and, I graduated in 2009, I guess, so I'm a little bit over 10 years out of getting my MBA, but I think the answer is yes, it has helped me, open doors. It has helped me have really good conversations with stakeholders and allow me to hold my own from a credibility standpoint. So it wasn't the traditional path, I guess, but yeah, I think that.
And everyone's got different motives and that curiosity, because I know a lot of people that, when they retire, they want to go to school.
Yeah.
Just because they like learning.
Yeah.
But usually salespeople, they get that, the addiction to the win, to the paycheck, to the success. Yeah. And the opposite of that is no income, a lot of studying and paying for something.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you also one other thing is, this is pretty funny. So at Penn State, we had a completely global class. So there's people from Asia, Europe, all over the US, South America, right? And so we would get into these teams like they commonly do at business school. But one of the funny things I thought was unique and I thought so valuable when I looked at it in hindsight, frustrating at the time, valuable when I looked at it in hindsight, was they made us do the Strengths Finder test beforehand. And so what they purposely did is they matched up everybody that had all these different personality traits for the first teams. So they were going to try to put as much chaos into your very first team that you worked with. So I'm working with people internationally, different personality types, different ways of getting things done, different motivators. And that's my first team. And it was frustrating and difficult. But when I, raised my hand with Tableau software to go internationally and help us expand over here, I'd already had that experience of working in these global teams and working with people from different backgrounds. And so I could really kind of lean on that as like one of the reasons why I thought I was, aptly suited to be the person that they would send internationally, because I did have some background of working with these different teams and different cultures and different people and different motivators. So I think, once again, my experience that I got at business school, I think really helped me kind of say, hey, I'm the guy that you should send internationally. And then I got that opportunity. So I can't say 100% that was all of it, but it definitely didn't hurt to have that in my back pocket, making the case to go help us launch the EMEA business.
And what was your motive there? Was it adventure? Was it challenge? Was it living in a different country? Was it getting
Yeah.
out of where you were? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I wasn't really running from anything. I think it was more running towards something. I don't know, I just thought the opportunity, when you
Yeah.
when you get to the end of your life, I guess, when I got the opportunity, I think I was 35 to go do it. And I guess I thought, well, this hasn't popped up at any point in my life. It's never going to pop up. I'm never going to get a chance to work in an international kind of setting and sell to different people, from different walks of life. And so when the opportunity popped up, I thought, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. Right. This is like the last chance this is my only chance and the last chance probably, because at some point, maybe you get a family or you
Your
marry
roots.
someone and then you got other people that you got to look out for. But at the time I was still single and I thought, well, man, if I don't do this now, it's never going to happen. And I asked a lot of mentors that I have in my, in my network, like, what would you do if this was your situation? And almost, I think probably like 80 to 90% of them were like, you gotta go do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just said, you know what, this is the time to do it. Let's go do it. And the adventure and what I'm going to learn is going to be great. And it was a difficult 6 months when I
I
first
bet.
got here. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know a lot of people. And then some of the conversations I had with people, yeah, very different cultures selling into the Nordics, or,
Those rascals.
yeah. So yeah, like, there was a lot to learn, but it just gives you a deeper toolkit when you get to the end of your life, I guess, and you go, I had all these opportunities and I was able to grow myself this way. I think there was a study I saw that they asked all these people in a nursing home that are, like in their 70s or 80s, like, what's your biggest regret from life? And the number one thing consistently, no matter where the people were located or whatever, was, I regret like not doing this one thing. It wasn't, like, here's an opportunity and I was like, I passed on it and I regret it. And I don't want to get to the end of my life and go, why didn't I do that? I should have done that, So I don't know. Now that I have a wife and kid, it's tempered my ability to
Your
just jump on the
adventurousness.
next plane and go somewhere. But I feel like, I don't want to be a person that didn't try to do something when maybe you would have failed, but that's okay. If you failed doing it, at least you tried. And I think that was kind of like my main motivator is, even if I fail, I can always come back to Seattle where I was from.
Yeah, and you were going over there with a strong brand,
Yeah.
a company on the growth, as opposed to, the bare bones startup first person in EMEA.
Yeah. That's true. There was about 30 people already
Right.
there. So we
There's a
did have
little traction.
we
Right.
had a little bit of traction, but the growth story was incredible. I think I got there in January of 2013, and in 2012, I think in EMEA we did somewhere around $9 million in revenue, so we were about that size. And when I left in 2016, I think out of EMEA we pulled like $81 million.
Wow.
So that 3 years, 13, 14, 15, was just so exciting. I'm glad I did it because we were breaking new records. People were closing like the biggest deal of all time or the most deals in a quarter. I mean, that was happening like every quarter. So like, what an exciting adventure to go on and a story to have. Um, when you look backwards,
Yeah.
that was just an amazing opportunity. I don't know. I mean, where I'm at now is another amazing opportunity. It's like the next big wave for me. But like when I look back at that, that was just a highlight of my career so far.
Right. And what differentiates you as both a salesperson and a sales leader? What characteristics or approach?
Yeah, I mean, I've done both roles. So when I was at Tableau, I managed our new business team in the UK, which was I think 12 people at the time, and we grew that pretty rapidly because it was the rapid expansion of Tableau days. I mean, I came in, it was 4 people. When I left, it was 12 in just about a year and a half, right? So
Yeah.
it was just like spending 30% of my time interviewing people, right? But yeah, that's a great question. I think I've lived on both sides of that desk there. So from a sales, individual contributor, which I'm doing right now, I think, what motivates, you're saying what motivates me? Is that the
What
question?
differentiates you?
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to do as an individual contributor is get out there and get in front of as many people as possible, give us the best opportunity that we have to win. And I'm thinking about it, of course, from the company, but then also from like my own personal perspective. I choose who we go talk to, and I can focus on the accounts that I want to focus on because it's such a green field for us here in EMEA, right? And so you get that it's pretty exciting from an individual standpoint. Say like I can draw up my own game plan,
Yeah.
and then we can go execute on that. So I guess there's more of an individual standpoint, like what plays do I want to run? How do I, like there's the goal. We're here. Like what plays do we want to develop in order to get there? And so I think that's pretty fun from an individual level. From a leadership perspective and leading a team, I think that my focus was less about me and then more about like making my team successful. So I always used to ask people when they came in, one of the questions I'd ask in interviews is like, what motivates you? Like people are motivated for different reasons.
Right.
Some people money, some people just want to be recognized. Some people are looking for career
Sure.
advancement. And so then I would kind of develop a template for that person based on that. And so we would take some goals I had around like, oh, I want to be an enterprise sales rep and I'm an inside sales rep now, and say, okay, like let's develop something so that we could get you to that goal. And so I think it was more about like just developing people. And you have to be really selfless when you're like a manager if you want to do it right, in my opinion. I have to give tons and tons of time to the people that are on my team to help develop them and help them get to where they want to go. Also, I mentioned like 30% of my time I'm interviewing people, looking for the right people. And that means a lot of times you'll find someone and you're going, oh, they're okay, but that's not good enough. So I got to start over again. And so I spent a lot more time, I guess, in leadership, finding the right people, developing the right people. And the crazy thing about a leader, you probably would agree, is that if you do your job right, eventually you lose the person, right? So it's like
Right.
like, hey,
Just being an agent.
yeah, it's like, oh no, I developed these great reps, and now other people inside the business want them, and
Yeah.
so then I have to start over again and go find someone and then develop them, and then, we had new business, and it was kind of a feeder for our existing business team that were managing the accounts that we'd already landed at, or there was the enterprise sales team that was handling the mega big counts, right? And so, yeah, a lot of times if we're successful in what we do, we literally like hurt ourselves as leaders. But you have to know that, and you have to go into that with a smile and say it's more about creating a great organization and creating a great path for your people. And so, like, I think you got to put yourself in the in the background a little bit and
Yeah.
put them in the foreground. And I think a lot of salespeople find that very difficult because they spent their career like, I'm focused on me, I'm focused on my plans, I'm focused on what I do great. I know it works. But now you have to take that and you have to translate that in a way that they can understand. And so people are used to communicating a lot of times in one way. You have to change your style of
Right.
communication. And it's extremely difficult. It can
Yes.
be really frustrating. And at the end of the day, it's like, I think you're never really done. You don't like close the big deal, hit the number, and go to President's Club. It just didn't work like that. There's always something more that you can be doing in leadership to better your organization or find more people or
Right.
whatever. And so it's like, you have to go, well, my job's never going to be done and I have to be okay with that. And I'm always consistently starting over. So I think, I don't know if that helps kind of bring a little clarity to how I've seen the difference.
Well, yeah, I like that you were open to very different people. During the interview process, were there certain things that you knew this person was an A player and certain things that you knew that this was not going to work out?
Yeah, I think so. You can determine a lot about people by just having a conversation with them. You don't have to ask them every single interview question under the sun that your HR department's going to say. Ask them these questions. I asked a lot of out of the box questions to really get at the core of who the person was, what motivates them, why they're doing what they're doing, and then I would go after the people that I felt had a strong correlation with like our values. For instance, at Clary, where I'm at now, if I found someone that really exemplified our values, I would get that person and worry about, getting them where we need to be, like from a sales perspective, because I know that they're the person that we're looking for, as opposed to going after someone who's like had a strong performance record, but maybe their values don't necessarily align to the values of our organization.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so, one of the very first jobs I ever had out of undergrad was at a company called Expeditors. It was a freight forwarding company in Seattle. And they said their mantra there, which I still believe is a great one, is hire for attitude, train for skills. And so I think I've always taken that with me. I keep that in the back of my mind of people that I look for. Like, you can train people on some stuff, but some stuff, like, you just want them to have it.
Yeah, and I like that motive question, because if they're not motivated by the things that they get rewarded with,
Yeah.
right? Because you're going to Europe. Are you motivated by adventure? Are you motivated by challenge, immersion? Or are you an introvert and you like to have the same exact pattern every day and not travel, right? If the motives aren't there, and I hear so much online now about like mental health for salespeople. And it's like, and I listen to the salespeople, I was like, they're not motivated by money. They're not motivated by competition. They just want to help people. And I go, well, that's service. That's not sales. Go down to the service department. You'll be very happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, save everybody the trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the questions I always ask people too in an interview is, what are you passionate about? It doesn't have to be work related.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like, and then, look at the way that they answer that question. Do you see a spark in them?
Right.
Like, are they really excited about what it is that they're talking about? Because maybe they could be that excited about your company or the product that you're selling. If they answer the question and they don't seem very passionate about whatever it is that they're talking about in their life, they may lack like the drive that they're going to need in sales to, to close business, to beat competitors, whatever, right? Kind of to your point there, right? Maybe it's a different line of work that you might be more well suited for.
Yeah. If they're talking about rock climbing and it's like, well, how does that apply to sales? Well, I like to take 3 months off every other year. And it's like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. Or you hear a lot of sports analogies. You hear a lot of performing artists, musicians, actors, debaters be really good at sales.
Yeah.
Where they've had to take feedback, they've had to perform, and they've had to take rejection.
Yeah.
If someone hasn't taken rejection at some point in their life, sales it's just not going to work, because it's going to be completely new to them.
Yeah. One of the people I interviewed, and I said, it wasn't for my team, but I said, you guys got to hire this person, had a very limited background in software sales. They had maybe 6 months or something, and they were interviewing with us. But their very first job, I noticed on the resume, was they're one of these people that, you go over like a Brit. There was the person was from Amsterdam, and as you're going over the canals there in Amsterdam, there's these people that are like asking you, trying to get you to sign up for stuff or trying to get you to do something that you probably don't want to do.
Right.
And they were successful at it. And I thought, God, this is the type of person that we need, because they've probably seen so much rejection in their time. And yet they did it for a couple of years and they're successful at it. So don't look at them like people, oh, do they have 2 years software sales experience? I'm like, but look at this person's sales background.
Right. Yeah.
You
It's
had a,
one element, but
yeah, yeah,
but if you face a lot of rejection in your sale, where you're doing the prospecting, you're initiating it, you better be comfortable with it.
yeah. Yeah, because you're gonna have the door shut in your face plenty of times, and you got to pick yourself back up and go open another door.
Right. And not be crying or need a day off.
Yeah,
It's just just doesn't scale.
exactly.
Hey
Yeah,
Dave, I appreciate your time. Where can people go to connect with you?
yeah. Just do a search for me on LinkedIn, Dave Noreen, and I'm happy to connect. And always looking to make a connection with somebody, help somebody out, or um, you know, help people get introduced places, and hopefully I can get some introductions from them too.